Love often takes unexpected twists and turns, but that just makes the story more interesting.
I caught her, and that was it.
Oh my goodness, I think I'm falling in love with this boy.
I told my husband, if you marry me, you're going to laugh for the rest of your life.
Join us as we continue to bring to life the Canadian love stories of romance, family, friends, and community.
Well, love is the most important thing.
We had never been under so much stress. That was the most trying time of our relationship, of our lives. Living here, having the kids, doing this project together, filming. You're running around again, trying to make sure things are financed. I was stressed out about design things and things would be ready in time before opening, and then planning that wedding. Ugh.
A situation like this can drive a wedge in a relationship, or it makes you stronger. And I think we learned that we are meant to be together.
Welcome back to the Canadian Love Map, everybody. Nancy here, and Madison's with me.
Yes.
And we are celebrating a great show, and it was actually a situation where the guests came knocking on our door.
Yeah, they pitched to us, which was so exciting to see.
Did you get an email?
Yeah, so we have the forms that are linked in all of the bios of our episodes that people can fill out and share their love story with us, and we can go through them and see their stories. And they filled out this form, DM'd us on Instagram. They were super, super eager to come on.
And the more you dug, the more you realized, oh, this is a good story.
Oh, is it ever?
They are Canadians transplanted to Costa Rica. Yes. They're making a difference in the area in which they've chosen to settle. And they've created not only an amazing hospitality destination, but also a TV show.
And their love story. It's all tied into one. It's perfect.
It is. Wait for this episode. Here we go. Welcome, Luke and Steph. How are you?
Great.
Oh, thank you, Nancy.
Yeah, thanks, Shauna. This is awesome.
Where am I finding you right now?
We're in Jacó, Costa Rica right now, which is a coastal town in kind of in the middle of Costa Rica.
Mm-hmm. And we're coming to you from our hotel. It has walls, so it's here. We're coming from here. We're always working at the hotel when we take a little break here to come talk with you.
Okay, so that is a great teaser, but let's go back and start at the beginning, because you're both Canadian, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
We are.
Where did this story start?
We met in Taiwan, actually, 18 years ago. We were both English teachers randomly.
Yeah.
He's from Southern Beach and I'm from Toronto, but we never would have met if we didn't both go to Taiwan at the same time, because you're 3 hours away from where I live. We never would have crossed paths.
And I was like a small town country kid. And Steph was a fancy big city girl. So
Yeah.
our paths out of nowhere to hit. I'm one of 5 kids. I'm the middle child. There's 4 brothers, and then they finally had a little girl. We lived in small towns all our whole life. Grew up on Grand Bend, which is on Lake Huron there.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was my life. And you were always a city girl with
immigrant parents, living, latchkey kind of kid, I think that's very typical, as well.
You were probably taking the subway at a fairly young age by yourself.
Absolutely. Subways, streetcars, buses, hanging out at malls, that I feel like every kid in the 90s, that was our life, arcades and malls and subways.
Meanwhile, Luke was, as they say, shooting the drag down Main Street in a small town.
Absolutely, I was. I had to buy a YJ Jeep when I was a kid, top down, doing all the cool stuff. And then I think from there, though, 2 of my brothers were teaching in Taiwan. I was an arborist, so I was working for tree companies and that sort of thing.
Oh wow!
But when you're working in that, it's a tough life. You got the summer because you're so seasonal that you're busy in the summer. Winter comes, there's not a lot of work. It's not awesome being 80 foot in a tree in the freezing Canadian winter. You know what I mean?
Doesn't appeal to me.
No. So one of my brothers had moved home. The other one was still there. So I just, I thought I'd give it a try and go try and teach English in Taiwan. I don't know what I was thinking with that. you're already friends with my brother and that before I got there.
Yes, I had met his brother, I think the year before you came.
Mhm.
And so when you came to Taiwan, they were like, "Oh, it's Ryan's brother." So I think we were like, "Okay, well," and we met up, and then the rest is history, I guess.
But
pretty
it's
much.
so the first night we met though, so we are having a little party, and Steph arrived, and one of my friends said, "Oh, can you go down and get our friend Steph?" So I went down. I was in love pretty quickly, as you can see.
Well, duh.
Yeah.
Love at first sight was waiting to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that night, we went to this night market. So like this, like a street night market. And coming from a small town, we didn't have sushi where we grew up. That wasn't a thing. I'm trying to impress Steph, and she brought us in. She's like, "Let's go try some sushi." And I'm very cultured, of course. That's no problem. And we went in, and the guy had ran out of rice, so it was just sushi. It was just a piece of tuna.
Oh my
And everybody's, "Oh, it's such a good, this is delicious." I went in my mouth and I just spit it right back out. I'm not cool enough for that. So
You're going, wait a second. It's just raw fish. It's not sushi. It's just raw fish.
cold raw fish, throw it in your mouth. And that was our first night together, and then it just blossomed from there. And
And since
Steph,
then,
what was your first impression of him? Sorry to interrupt.
the thing I always thought was very attractive about Luke was that he has a quiet confidence and is very authentically him, no matter what situation it is. He was never afraid of trying to be too cool, or obviously, as you heard, or trying to, impress anybody. He's always himself. And I always thought that that's this cool confidence of he doesn't care what people think. So I think that was kind of the thing that attracted me to you originally. Because I feel being a girl when you're in your 20s, you're plagued with so many insecurities and all these things, when you're young and naive. And it was refreshing meeting him because it was he was just comfortable in his skin.
Yeah.
Whatever he was saying, however he was coming off, it didn't really seem to you weren't overthinking it. Whereas I felt I was a chronic overthinker about everything.
Yeah, it's funny what I think of when you say that is, and I remember my 20s, and you're trying so hard to make everybody think you've got it all together, but you actually feel untethered, and you met him and he felt anchored.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. And where did it go from there?
So we were there together for 3 years.
3 years, yes. I was there for 4. You were there for 3.
We're around 30 at that point.
I was 29, so I was on the cusp of turning 30, and I think I just had one of those attacks of "Oh my gosh, what am I gonna do with my life? I'm turning 30," and everyone had houses, careers, all these things, and we had so much life experience, which is very is priceless, but it doesn't have any monetary value.
Sure doesn't.
Right.
Well, so we both were
We got it.
we got to go figure something, and then came home we had saved a little bit, but you don't you make a lot of money to live nicely there, but it's not like you're banking. So then I think we came home. Steph moved back to Toronto with her folks. I lived with my folks in London, Ontario at this point.
Sounds romantic.
Yeah, 2 commute back and forth every weekend in that lovely Toronto traffic. And that was, it was really difficult because Steph was saying, our friends had all felt like they were 3-4 years ahead of us where we are.
Right.
So it was great having each other at that time too, because we could live in poverty together, Then it wasn't so bad,
Misery loves company or something. Yeah.
And then eventually we moved. I decided that I was going to move up to Toronto. So we moved to Toronto. I opened a tree company there for a few years. And that's where Steph, when you got back, really got into hotels as well.
Yes, I just kind of got into the hotel industry, and I just sort of always my dream was always to work at Four Seasons, but it was baby steps. It was I worked at a 2-star, then a 3-star, and so I just kind of made my way, and until I finally got to Four Seasons at the end.
What did you learn most at the Four Seasons?
Well, I mean, the Four Seasons was amazing. I mean, only because they think of everything. It's the whole it's not just meeting the expectation, it's exceeding the expectation. And it's always about surprising the guests. So I took that away, which I thought was really nice. I mean, For example, we'd have a guest tell us like, "Hey, I'm coming to town to see like, Justin Bieber for a concert." Great. We make sure we get our pastry chef to make a special Justin Bieber cookie, put it in the room. The guest goes up there and sees like, oh, like enjoy your concert tonight. Like it's those personal touches really is what makes people stay. Not so much like, of course, everyone wants bed linens. Your room should be clean. You need to have a coffee maker. All those things, yes, but it's all those intangibles that is what people are really going to remember. So that's also why when we did Hotel Lobby, I knew I didn't want it to be a crazy expensive hotel because I want it to be accessible. But just because it's not expensive doesn't mean that it shouldn't be quality and also it shouldn't feel luxury. Because I
Hmm.
think luxury is about how you feel, not so much about the actual items in the rooms. It's about like how well do you feel taken care of.
Yeah. Do they make you feel special?
Exactly. Do you feel like you belong? Do you feel special? Like all those things. I mean, I think and travelers now, like we don't do like the old school concierge stuff. Like everyone's a very savvy traveler these days. Like people want things that are more hands off and want things that are a little bit more special and unique, I think.
Hmm. They've got their concierge in their smartphone.
Exactly. They got Instagram, they got social, like that's all they need. Plan their trip.
So I'm really intrigued about this idea that you developed a kind of yearning to have your own hotel because I think a lot of people in hospitality might go the other way because it can be an all-encompassing kind of job and it can be stressful. So what was it about that industry that made you just want to, made you have that dream?
I mean, to be quite honest, like and anyone will tell you this in hospitality, it's very addictive. It's a very addictive like profession. I think because it's fast paced, I think the same way people in restaurants get like the rush of like what like the craziness that happens in a kitchen. In the hotels, it's kind of the same thing because every day is different. You never know who you're gonna meet. There's always something crazy happening, and no day is the same. And I think it's really rewarding when you provide like experiences for guests, as corny as that is. It is very true when people come and tell you like how much the stay has meant to them. Like it really does feel amazing. And you feed on that. And I think it's like this endorphin rush or something, you just get like it goes in and you're just like, oh, and you just want to keep feeling it. And I knew that if I ever opened my own place, I knew some of the things that I loved about working at like a high-end hotel, but I knew some of the things that I didn't love and I knew I would love to incorporate it so that it was my own kind of style.
Hmm. So, what came first, the idea or the country?
Oh God. So I guess we would rewind back a little bit to having kids. Even the country was a very big surprise. We'd never been to Costa Rica before we moved here. Um,
Really?
no, we had two kids. We had our house in Toronto. I was now in executive sales. We both had this really our careers, and we'd always been saying like, I know that Steph said a line once that I love, and she's like, "Luke, we have one more adventure left in us because we met traveling. We'd have this, and as we'd had our careers, we had our dream jobs, we had the house, we had everything, but it felt like we just we didn't know if that was going to be the like that's can't be the end of our story. There's got to be something else out there. But the problem with all of this is you have careers and you have a house and you have kids, so it's really hard to make this leap. And a guy I'd worked with had told me about um just that Costa Rica was like there's a great middle class, it's a good economy, there's safety there, there's good education, there's no army. So he had told me this over lunch one day, and then I got in my head that we were going to buy a farm, which still not out of the question yet, but we wanted to buy a farm and kind of live off the grid, grow all of our own food and all that. And I was constantly watching videos and talking to Steph about it. And we were kind of thinking like maybe this is something. And then the pandemic happened, right? And the pandemic happened. The kids came home for March break and they didn't go back. Unfortunately, at the Four Seasons, like hospitality bottomed out. So Steph lost her job.
Right.
My company said, you're going home where you're going to work remote. And we just, and I don't know if we could see it, but I'm trying to work. The kids are at home. We know what Canadian winter is going to be like. And we just had a feeling it was going to go on longer than we thought. And so we just said, it's kind of like the universe is saying, hey, you were looking for an opportunity. I'm going to give you an opportunity. It's yours to take it or not. And so our house went up for sale. We packed our bags. We made it here like 2 days before like the 2-week quarantine thing started happening. So we got into time. But the kids, so we have to explain our kids, we're leaving and we're moving to another country.
How old were they at the time?
They
Oh,
were
well, 4 years ago.
5 and 3.
5 and 3.
You were pretty young.
Wow. Yeah.
And then jumped on a plane, you know, masks on. But again, nowhere. So we had just booked an Airbnb for a month in a town we'd never heard of. So that's how we got here. I had these moments, one in Taiwan I had when I was driving through the mountains with Steph. We'd go to this amazing waterfall with our friends, and I was driving back into the city, and Steph was on the back of my scooter, and we're driving. And one of these moments where you, I don't know, where you just feel this like true happiness feeling. It takes your breath away. And it's like this moment of bliss that's in and out. I was having those every single day when we were in Costa Rica. We'd wake up, there's fruit, like beautiful fruit, beautiful beaches, monkeys, and nature.
Pura vida.
It was pura vida.
Pura vida.
And that started us thinking, you know, one day my company is going to say it's time to come back to the office. And I think it felt too right. So I think that was where we started thinking, like, if we want to stay here, we need to make a life here. Like, we need to find a way to make money. And yeah.
So let me clarify though, when you actually flew down there with the kids, you said you sold the house. So was it with the intention of staying if you loved it? Or were you just going at first for let's get out of here. Let's get out of Dodge because it's not so good here.
We say we give a year, I think.
I think we were like, we're just going to try it out. Because worst case, we can always come back. Like, that was always our thing. But we kind of had a feeling we were going to like it because we'd never been here.
So we kept our car. We put out my folks' place. All of our stuff. And we just renovated our house. So we had like all this new stuff that slowly my siblings were stealing from my storage.
I respect that. I have lots of siblings.
Yeah.
Okay, so take me back. You are saying we love this, but we need a place, we need a way to make money. And you know, was it obvious right away? How did that get sorted out?
I mean, I honestly was just looking for like a small Airbnb or something, like just like a 1-unit place. Like we weren't actively looking, but we kept driving by this corner where the hotel is. And we were like, that is such a good spot. Like, we're on the good side of the beach and it's a big corner lot. And we were like, I wonder how much that is. And we just kept driving by it and seeing it for sale. And we got curious and then asked about it. It reminded me of one of those cute like motels from like the 70s, like an L-shaped one that you could just drive up and the pool in the center and all the rooms surrounded it. So it kind of gave me that vibe. So I was like, oh, that might be cute. And then we can just renovate it and make it super cute. There wasn't a lot of great hotels in Jacó that provided that service that I was looking for.
And on our side of the beach, like so in Jacó, there's the north end, the south end. The south end's a little bit more residential. It's a little bit quieter, but the beach is really nice, super safe. Like, we let the kids can just run in front. You know, if it's crazy high tide, maybe not, but it's very safe. Yeah. But it was a dump is what it was. Like, it was pretty bad.
Once we looked closer, it was definitely a dump.
Yeah. And we couldn't afford it either. So that was the other problem. We didn't.
That doesn't feel good. You're spending all your money and then some for something you think is a dump. Yeah. Ooh,
but we had this huge parking lot. But everything's in concrete here. So you think like really everything's built in concrete. So you think, listen, the bones are good. Yeah. As long as the bones are good. Or you can raise ceilings. You can like open up some windows and put some breezy doors in and update a pool.
This is what we thought, obviously. Like, oh, it's just it won't cost that much. It's just some lipstick, whatever.
Enjoy episode 1 and you'll find out what happened.
Yeah. I was gonna say, had either of you had experience with construction?
So I do. So when I was an arborist, so I'd have my tree company, but then you'd stop working the end of October. So a lot of my friends were in construction. So in the winter times, I was doing demos or putting in kitchens or hanging drywall. And so I was doing it here and there. So I was definitely not a pro. What is it? jack of all trades, masters of none, somewhere along those lines. But I've been doing manual labor since I was, I think I started working when I was 13 or something like that, So I wasn't scared to get my hands dirty. But it is another country, and you have to do things so differently here because, like, in Canada, it's drywall and insulation. There's brick. Like here, it's cinder blocks, just concrete everywhere. But because you have this blazing sun every day, it destroys things. And because we're close to the ocean, all the salt water just eats away at metal and everything. So we thought we knew what we're doing, but we quickly learned that there's a lot to learn in the process as well.
Okay, but wait a second. It's not just a major renovation construction project. All of a sudden, it somehow becomes a TV shoot as well. How did that happen?
That was the most random.
Yeah, our neighbor actually just by happenstance knew that we bought this hotel, this rundown hotel, and we thought it would be a good story for she was a doula for the VP of this production company that was looking for, I guess, reality TV ideas because it was the pandemic and people were consuming content like crazy. And so they met us, they liked us.
But we didn't know.
We didn't know. Yeah.
We came home one day and our neighbor came over and she says, I hope you don't mind. Because we hang out with her a lot. So she'd been hearing our crazy story. Like we drive a little 3-wheel tuk around. We have our girls. Like we're, what are we? We're nuts. And so she said, I hope you don't mind. I emailed our friend and she wants to meet you. And then it was like a few meetings, some Zooms. They came down to check it out. And then HGTV was the one that picked it up. And next, so it is very true. And now we had
a TV
crew here trying to organize everything. And then it's not spoiled. I guess it's spoiled. The end of it was our wedding. So last episode is our wedding at the hotel. So now we have guests coming. There's bulldozers in the park. It was chaos, but it was made.
Oh my gosh. I wish I was there, but I guess I can be there virtually when I watch the show, which I can't wait to do. But neither of you had either done television?
No. I was an extra once on it. I think I was an extra once on a TV show.
I don't think that counts.
Doesn't count.
I tried talking to the director. He's like, can you stop talking to me? You're supposed to be, but no, I'm just kidding. No.
We couldn't share the great stories that we do here on the Canadian Love Map podcast without the amazing support of Charm Diamond Centers. They are Canada's largest family-owned jeweler, and they're proud to be putting love on the map. The folks at Charm Diamond Centers are thrilled to be a part of your love story. So visit charmdiamondcenters.com or one of your local stores. Love starts here. So the show chronicles pretty well your whole journey of renovating it and I'm sure running into obstacles. It's called Betting on Paradise, but I bet that it didn't always feel like paradise.
Not at all. Yeah. It was just traumatic, I think.
Yeah, it's like not in a negative way, but
no.
it was. Did you know what's like? There's this massive boulder in front of you that you got to push up the hill or whatever it is. Those massive obstacles. When you're in them, you're just kind of living day by day, and you're just kind of cruising to the next problem. I still remember the wedding nights because our wedding is the last episode as well, right? And we're all at the hotel with her. And I remember feeling so proud of what we've done, though. There's that massive accomplishment. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, we feel like we can accomplish a lot because we went through that. But man, in the moment, and then you've got to be camera ready, So
it's interesting because Steph sort of described you earlier as being really authentic and just comfortable in your skin. Mm-hmm. And in those moments, it's one thing to say yes to shooting a TV show, but in those moments where all of a sudden you're dealing with real life stress and challenge, how hard is it to just allow your vulnerability to, take the front seat and say, I'm just going to be real?
So I think it would have been harder, except the people that we were working with, the crew that we had here, and our director, Alex, he was amazing. So when like the first few scenes, you feel super weird, just trying to tell me about this room. Well, there's a floor and then there's a door. And I think there's you don't know all the work, you're like, it's weird. But by the end, they had kind of been with us through this because I think we shot for about 14 months. So it was a long shoot and they were here with us so long that eventually he knew what the questions to ask and he knew how to get us there. And I think where you get so comfortable in front of that camera that you kind of, in a way, forget it's there. But by the end, I remember we shooting one scene, and I think it's in there. But we were shooting one scene, and something, I forget what it was, but something like just awful had happened, and I think he said, "What's going on?" And I like burst into tears, like couldn't hold it back anymore. And then she started crying because I think they were crying beyond the camera because it felt like at times you had the whole world kind of crushing you. And it's like, and you're just living in it. So all that came out kind of naturally because there's no way to fake it because you're living it. So like, it was just so real.
It was a very it was amazing. It was such an amazing experience, but it was like a very stressful time because of like the actual we really needed to get the hotel finished for one. We had family and friends here for like a week. We're supposed to have this wedding, and then they still were filming us while we're still trying to figure out get this whole done. So we didn't have to manufacture any of the issues because there were so many problems, and all of those are like real tears, real stress because it was like the most stressful time ever in my life. It was it was tough.
And I was just gonna say, and I'll tell you a quick story about because it was the wedding, and I feel like this was the thing. And I think you can see it in the show, but it's not too much of a spoiler. But so we had planned the wedding day around the tides because with the beach where we're at, high tide swallows the beach, especially on a big swell. It's gone. So I think we put into Google, hey Google, when's a good day to get married for sunset? And it was like, this is a great day. You should do it this day. And then our friends are coming, and every day the tide's getting and higher. And we're like, what is happening here? It wasn't low. It was the highest tide possible. And it's like, it's just, but you're already in it. And when you're when you're on the beach, if you're on the ocean, there's that one rogue wave that comes and steals all your flip flops and everything. And it gets to where you may kiss the bride. And at that exact second, and when you go back and watch the footage, you can see it coming. And we were about to kiss, and a wave went through our entire wedding. And so we're running down the beach. But the great thing about it is we had this amazing kiss after, but it was kind of felt like that wave was, we had so much tension, we're like a rubber band, and that wave kind of snapped it, and it just went, and it was like a big relief at the same time.
It was just hilarious because, of course, that was gonna happen. It was on top of everything,
Everybody's screaming, and everybody's feet are getting covered. Steph's running down the beach with her wedding dress.
Meanwhile, the producer or director have a huge smile on their face because they're like, this is brilliant television. They don't care so much about the wedding as the TV show.
And you can't land that. Like, what a freak.
No.
But it was kind of it was kind of like our whole, that was like a metaphor for our whole, the whole adventure was, it's going to go wrong, but at the end, you're going to smile and it's going to be okay. So that's kind of what it was.
But to me, that's a description of life. Yeah. Like if that's when you say it like that, I think, oh, that's what I would tell my kids. Stuff goes wrong all the time. Don't expect everything to be perfect, but it's just how you deal with it. And you guys are amazing. One thing we didn't hear about though, and I want to rewind, when and how did the proposal happen, please?
Oh gosh.
So
that was we were engaged for years.
Steph was pregnant with our second child, Luna. And we were in New York, and I think we were saying
I think it was a baby Luke.
Was it a full?
It was 4 seasons. Yeah.
So it was a 4 seasons, but so she's working there, but no, it wasn't really open yet. So only staff were there. So it was, we had this whole New York building to ourselves. It was kind of strange.
Cool.
I proposed to her at this beautiful restaurant there, but then we almost had the wedding 72 times. It feels like we had planned at one place, it didn't work out. And then eventually
it was supposed to be a destination wedding for 2020.
We had it planned. Yeah, we
canceled it as soon as like it was like that March, it was like I think there was like a week where we could cancel without and all of our guests could get their money back, so we just canceled it. So we were supposed to get married.
Yeah.
Twice it was we canceled.
Twice. But it was, and so again, there's the universe being like, no, I think you should hold on to that wedding for a little bit longer. I gotta
Aren't you
wait. I've
glad?
been waiting for years, and I'm ready to let it go. You know.
Yeah.
Aren't you so glad now that you waited? Like, oh, that was the icing on the cake for the show.
And it's cool too because we lived here and we've been living here for a while. You know, these are the people that we're here with have become our family. So it's really nice to like spend a wedding and enjoy that with our friends and family from back home, but also our new Costa Rican family.
And also, you know, once you've had kids and stuff, it's one of those things where getting married, like we were engaged like for, like 10 years before. It was never something that was on our like for me anyway, it was never something that I was like really like dying to do because you know, we had already had kids. And once you have kids, like, you know, those things, you know, get into perspective and you realize it's not like you focus your energy on other things. So I think that's why it just got delayed so many times because we just kept putting it on the back burner because we had already been together over like 10 years of that.
Yeah, it's true.
So
You were a family.
Yeah, we weren't going anywhere.
Yeah. Well, it's not 25 years ago or 50 years ago either. So absolutely. What was the most challenging thing that you dealt with during the renovation and the show?
Oh boy.
there's so many.
Financials were a massive thing. Trying to we had some great investors, but trying to stay on top of that, stay within budget. And then so it's kind of like I think maybe I'm traumatizing from being back when I was an arborist, where you're so dependent on the seasons, high seasons, low seasons. Well, Costa Rica is the same thing. We have the high season where there's a lot of people here. You have a low season where no one's here. So it was trying
And
to
you have a rainy season,
yes.
a
Now,
really rainy season.
it is, and we're in it a little bit right now. I love the rainy season. The rainy season is not quite as hot. You still typically your day starts out like right now. It's rainy season. The sun's shining. It's a gorgeous day, and then around 3 o'clock, 3 or 4 o'clock,
It might rain.
yeah,
a little.
you'll see like the clouds building up over the mountains, and then you get some thunderstorms. But the really cool thing is you get these massive thunderstorms. Then they move out to the ocean, and you get these incredible light shows. Like the lightning is like 8 lightnings every 10 seconds or something. So like. And it's just everything's really lush at that time. So, but the rainy season is just happens to line up where not a lot of folks are coming here at that time.
Mhm.
So it was crucial to open at the right time, get our construction done at the right time, get our wedding done, and I think that was and pay for it all. That was the big challenge of it all. And again, sometimes it's one of those things where you're like, my dad always says this to us. My you know, both our parents are very smart, but my dad's always going like, now if like we come into any stress, he's like, do you not remember what just happened to you guys? He's like, we're gonna get through it. Look what you've gotten through. So you know what I mean? And yeah, so I think it's hard to say one big. Everything was a challenge, just kind of all stuck together.
Can I ask how the kids fared through this? What were their reactions? How did they sort of experience this whole thing?
I mean, they were just happy. They're just like barefoot outside running around. You know, it's like they're living like it's 1950. You know, they're knocking on their like friends, the neighbor's door. They're just downstairs in our complex running around like without a care in the world. I mean, they just were excited to like be part of the wedding and just for us to have a hotel. And they were just very excited. And then even like being on like TV, that was so funny. They also were like, "Oh, it's our show!" Like, you know, so they kind of understood, but they didn't. It's pretty funny. But they also, you know how kids are, they just don't censor themselves. It doesn't matter. Like, even if there's a film, like,
Yeah.
even if there's a film crew there, I can't get my second daughter to smile for a photo, you know?
No,
It doesn't matter. You know?
I love that though. That's their authenticity, right?
I think that we also were very conscious about not bringing
Yeah.
what we were doing throughout the day home. And Steph and I have a relationship where, thank God, because one of us was not always, but one of us would melt down, and the other one, you could sense that in your partner, and then you'd say, okay, I'm gonna step up. Let me take the kids. Let me do this. a while, you can go breathe for a minute. So we just tried to, because we brought him here to live a good life. So it was a big priority not to
Be stressed out all the time.
not, we don't want them feeling that as well. They want them to know that they're still our number one priority, that we love them and all that. And then my parents were here for a bit to help us. Our friends were here. So again, it's great community in that. But they didn't. They were just like, I'm going to the pool, whatever.
What did you two learn about each other through this whole process?
Oh my goodness. I feel like I think I learned a lot, like, because we never worked together. Like, working together, being together, living together, and doing this whole project together. I think I was like, wow, I guess we will make it because we had like the amount of stress that we had never been under, like, so much stress. That was like the most trying time of our relationship, of our lives. Living here, having the kids, doing this project together, filming. You're running around again trying to make sure things are financed, and like you were stressed out about that. I was stressed out about, design things and getting things would be ready in time before opening, and then planning that wedding. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It was the most amount of stress we've ever been under.
But I think that just showed us that, like Steph said, like that we were. I think a situation like this can drive a wedge in a relationship, or it makes you stronger. And I think, I think it just, we learned that we can do anything together, and that we're better when we work together. But maybe her on one side of the hotel designing something and break the concert. But you know what I mean? Like that, it was just it was nice to know that we were resilient and feel so much support with each other, and just know it's. I guess it's meant to be. I mean, we did the wedding, so like it just I think that's where they just solidified that we are meant to be together, I suppose.
Yes.
And it's like you climbed a mountain together. Like, it's like you climbed Everest together. And to have the satisfaction of having achieved something like that, I can't even imagine. I think that's amazing. I'd love for you to describe the hotel for me now as it is.
It's kind of all in our mantra, because our mantra is Veni Vidi Amavi, which means I came, I saw, I loved, which is kind of also like Costa Rica in general. Everyone that comes here falls in love with Costa Rica, the people, the place. I mean, the way the hotel was designed, I used the circle as inspiration. That was kind of what I gave our designer. And that theme is kind of present throughout the entire hotel. We have with the arches, everything circular, representing like, harmony and balance between nature. And because we wanted it to feel like everything flowed. And so when you come here and when you come to Costa Rica, it's all part of your journey. It's like that we're like that one stop.
You made like every room is different.
Yes.
Pots of color everywhere. What'd you call it? Mad Men?
Oh, I said tropical madmen.
Tropical Mad Men.
Tropical mid-century, I guess. Like those were the themes we kind of drew on, and just something that evokes like happiness and calmness. When you arrive, and that feeling of community. That was the biggest thing for us. We just wanted it to be a place where you just kind of felt like you were meeting old friends when you arrived.
Do you love it?
I do. I mean, we still love it. I think that we're here every day, so sometimes we take it for granted. But hearing our guests' experience and giving us their feedback and telling us how much they're loving, it really like warms our heart.
And that's the bet for me, especially is so when you're coming to Costa Rica, often you're staying a few days, and because we are here, we're hanging out a lot. We do trivia nights. Steph does a lot of like arts and craft nights, and we have special dinners and stuff. But you get to know these people on their vacation, which is it's really cool actually. And I think it's also nice. When we first got here, we met someone on vacation, like a local that showed us where to go and what to do. And it really changed it. You felt like really welcomed. You felt like, oh, this is amazing. This is my favorite spot just because I get to hang out with the locals and know what's happening and know the great. So I think with us, that's what I love, is just having that time with the guests. Like a lot of times I'm driving the guests into town in my little tuk-tuk, and they're driving with us in there, and they're getting to know our staff, and and it just, you get to impact somebody's vacation, but they become like it's like really close friends all of a sudden with a lot of our guests. That you know, which that's my favorite part.
Definitely.
It sounds like you impacted the community as well, though.
I think so. Yeah.
I think so. It's been great. I mean, I would love that was always our goal. We want to see Jacó grow and kind of people know about Jacó because it's not really a place that's advertised very often, but there's so many amazing things here. There's so many families. There's beach, there's jungle, there's so many things to do here, adventure. So that was a big part of it. And also, yeah, we wanted it to be a community hub for everyone who's here and to feel welcome. So, great.
Well, I think you better get the phone ready because if people who are listening are feeling like me, it's like, okay, look at my calendar. When can I book? I'm like, I'm coming to see you. But Madison, the producer's in there going, yes,
We love it. We love it.
oh my gosh. It sounds delightful. I love your sense of adventure and the way you obviously work so well together and balance each other. When can people watch the show?
So it's airing now. So just dropped. It's on in Canada. It's CityTV Plus. You can get it, but it's also on HBO Max now and Discovery Plus, and it's ready to be streamed. You can binge it.
It's very bingeable. Binge our trauma.
Yeah, binge our trauma.
Binge.
Yeah. So that's and then and you can follow along. So we're about to start opening up when our yoga deck's done. The next kind of the thing that we're doing before the next adventure, which we're planning as we speak. But we're building out these really cool wellness adventure retreats. We get your yoga and your meditation, but we also take you like dune bugging into the mountains and jumping off waterfalls, and you get boat tours. So we're working on that. So with any of that, you can follow along at Steph.and.Luke, Steph and Luke, and Hotel Amavi. And then, but everything's ready to go. And we're excited to get everybody down here, really.
Okay, and the hotel's name is?
Hotel Amavi.
So Amavi.
Amavi. Okay, that is, I know that's the main thing people are going to want to know before I let you go. But always before I let guests go, if it's a couple, I love to ask, what is it that you love most about each other? And whoever puts their right hand up first gets to go first.
I can go first. Let me just what that. Well, with Steph, it is, especially through all of this, like watching her as a mom. She's an amazing cook, incredibly generous to a fault. Where a lot of times she bakes cookies and I don't get them because they go to her over. But I forgive her for that. But it's mostly just she really brings out the best of me, and she's like I kind of said, like when we're in the thick of things. Though I just love that I know that she's my best friend and I can rely on her so much, and that through her she can get me out of those things that I think I can do the same for her. So I think that's it. It's just my favorite thing is just how in love we are and that how we have that such a strong connection.
I mean, similar. Like what I said, just Luke being authentically him. I think that you always have you're so good at reading people. You always know how to make people feel welcome and at home and never excluded. Like he's that person that will seek out the one person at a party that feels awkward and is by themselves, and he'll make sure to go up to that person and make sure that they feel like they're part of the community and talk with them because he wouldn't want them to feel like left out. Like that's just the person he is. So I think that is a big thing, but I love that on top of everything else, of course.
Thank you guys so much for joining us today. I have loved this conversation and I'm completely inspired by your zest for life.
We appreciate that so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for listening to the Canadian Love Map. This podcast is presented and made possible by Charm Diamond Centers. It's hosted by me, Nancy Regan, and is produced and distributed by Podstarter. We love sharing love stories of all kinds, and that could include yours. So do you or someone you know have an uplifting tale to tell? Reach out to us on Facebook or Instagram using @CanadianLoveMap or email producer@podstarter.io. We'll be back next week with another love story to add to the map.